Holiday knows that she doesn't need any defense, but because there had been, it was not necessarily because of anything you said, Mr. Gingrich, it was that we had multiple miscommunications with judiciary, different people, different places, and many of them came back through Karen. And like I said, I would call her and say, what have we heard over months and months? What have we heard? Well, here's I called them at this day and time, I called them at this day and time, and they're not returning our calls, way before we ever got to September. So I want to be sure for all the things that have been out there in the press, if there was anyone to blame, it was not her. We knew she was doing her job. And Ms. Roller, we haven't had much interaction. We have seen a lot of reform coming out of DCFS. We haven't heard about any come out of CACD. Is it happening and we haven't heard about it, or is there just no need for it in CACD?
What type of reform are you referring to?
Of course, I'm not a fan of the two separate agencies because of my experiences. I have to be careful here. Mr. Sterling, I'm sure, will help me to try to talk about this without talking about a specific case. But I know that your agency has been notified by DCFS at times that kids were taken, and it was just, in their opinion, completely wrong. And there just doesn't seem to be any way for one agency to overrule the other agency. And in some of those cases, I didn't have any doubt that DCFS was right and y'all were wrong. Again, they've taken a lot of heat. And I'm not saying one agency is more blamed than the other, but we're seeing some real change there. We have had, I and other legislators have had conversations with folks within your agency that talked about the fact that investigators tended to look for perfection in parenting when perfection wasn't possible. And even so, that had someone tell us that they had an interaction with their own teenage son with some other people present, and it ended up into kind of a wrestling match, and the son's nose was bloody, and he said, if I had been investigated, it would have been a true finding and I would have lost my job, even though I didn't do anything wrong. And I find that to be a real problem when that comes from somebody within the agency. Because I find that, and then we have the case in Northwest Arkansas, where we have, that's been in the public eye, where people have turned in paperwork that said they did things that they didn't do. You know, we didn't ask the judges about this, but, you know, we've had the agency bring forth expert witnesses who testified that things were illegal, and it turned out they were illegal in Canada, and not in the United States, and that seemed just atrocious to me, that we would even, it just seemed like we had our mind made up. And so, you know, we have people from DCFS that tell us, more than one, many, that CACD investigators can be too aggressive and trying to make their careers by finding true findings. And we even had a DCFS supervisor testify here. He did not name the CACD investigator because I asked him not to. That he was a very credible witness who said that the CACD investigator had said in a meeting that if she didn't have the evidence for true findings, she'd find a true finding anyway and let them appeal. And we actually heard that very same thing in another part of the state, up in Northwest Arkansas. It was very coincidental that we had someone else come in and say the same thing. So again, we haven't had your agency here a lot, but not aware of any problems like this.
I believe that no agency is perfect.
Absolutely.
I do believe we have our share of issues. We do have investigators that we have had to terminate. We have had investigators that we have had to do internal investigations on because they're human beings and they are not perfect. But that doesn't mean our agency does not address those issues when they come up. The Northwest Arkansas issue, that was an issue we found ourselves. We clearly identified the issue, the supervisor over that investigator identified the issue. We started our own internal investigation through the state police internal investigation unit. Charges have been filed against that investigator. As far as we know, this is an isolated incident. We have put some measures in place to make sure that we are going after the investigator and auditing what they do. We're calling families, we're calling collateral resources to make sure that the information that we have in our cases are correct. As far as investigators trying to make their job by having a substantiation rate that's high, I don't find that statewide. If I have an issue with an investigator, we do handle that. But statewide, no. We're out there to protect children of the state. This unit was developed in '97 after there were 4,000 investigations sitting in the state that criminal charges were not being filed by local law enforcement. And that's why our unit was created. And I think we've done a good job to protect the kids of the state. Do we make mistakes? Yes. But when we make a mistake, we're going to go back and we're going to handle that mistake.
I can't agree with that.